Hey guys, welcome to the channel, it's the Eradicator, and today we will have another Starfield video in which we will have a deeper look at the universe that Bethesda are building for the game for us, as 100 star systems does seem like a huge amount of work for the developers, and on top of that, it also raises a lot of questions when it comes to the replayability, as a lot of people have a lot of concerns about the possibility of a large amount of planets looking or feeling the same, so we will be addressing that as well, and finally, we will have a frame-by-frame analysis of the footage that was shared to us at the Summerfest showcase, because I noticed a ton of information that have been overlooked by a lot of people that I think are worth checking out, because as you are going to see, they do reveal a lot about what we should be expecting when we will be exploring the game. I have to admit that I was a little baffled when I heard that Starfield will be getting up to 100 star systems and 1,000 planets. This was definitely not what I was expecting based on what we had seen. Until the footage we saw last week, everything we were given to see were a short teaser on a barren planet and some concept art of some major landing zones of the universe. However, the big surprise was the reveal of the game universe and all of the stars that we'll get to be able to visit, and I will be honest with you, here for a short while I was indeed a little bit overwhelmed. However, after giving it some thoughts, I realized that there is nothing to be worried about or to be overwhelmed with, and let me tell you why. You see, Bethesda are going to be using procedural generation, which is really not something new. It's a method that game developers have been using for decades. For example, when you look at Elite 2, which allowed players to land on planets, I mean, this happened like 30 years ago. Everything was already procedurally generated, and developers have used these procedural techniques for the creation of FPS maps or RTS maps as well, because when you look at it, obviously, not every single tree or rock was placed by a developer, and that is what Frontier Development have also done for the creation of their Milky Way galaxy, which has been entirely recreated at a 1-to-1 scale in Elite Dangerous. However, we don't need to be looking at the largest example possible to see that procedural generation is the way to go when it comes to world building. Transport Fever is also going to do that when you are creating, for example, a new map to play and start your empire with. Even Star Citizen developers are using procedural technology to create their planets that they have then manually edit to make them look less artificial. So why wouldn't Bethesda do the same for all of their major planets in their various star systems? Now, notice how I did say planets here and not star systems, because judging by what Star Citizen is doing, which is in the future going to offer up to 100 star systems in the very far future, all star systems will be done by hand, and just because it allows the developers to have a say about the greater picture of the system, the background story of what is happening. A system with a red dwarf is not going to be made the same way a system with a blue giant is going to be made, and the effects on the planets will also not be the same as well, and this is why manually creating star systems, in my opinion, makes more sense and gives better consistency to the game universe. Now, speaking of planets, we know that it will not be possible to fly from space to their surface, and I also do not believe that it will be possible to fly in planetary atmospheres either. And this made me thinking about how planets in Starfield could be explorable, since we just can't descend down there and land wherever we want. Instead, it looks like we will be selecting a point from an interface, and a cutscene will be taking us to our landing location, and here is how I imagine it's going to be. I think the planets will be divided into tiles that we will not see, of course, and these tiles will be made of procedurally generated maps based on the biome that will be located at the location where we'll have chosen to land. Take Planet Jamison, which has been prominently featured in the presentation. We're looking here at a terrestrial, Earth-like planet here, and obviously this planet is not going to be a Star Wars-like mono-biome planet, and it should be expected to have different types of environment. So let's say, for example, the planet is divided into 32 tiles or maps. Then those located near the poles will be made of tundra or ice environments, while those in the middle will be more desert or tropical areas. And I think that it would make sense to have a defined amount of maps per planet, because it would allow players to make their marks, remember how these places are organized, and when they come back, they will know where to go and look for resources or settlements. And that leads us to the next concern, which is replayability. Why would you visit another ice ball? Why would you visit the next star system you haven't visited yet? And why would you return to a planet you've already been to? This is where I believe that on top of the procedurally generated maps, there should have maybe some developer-added outposts or pirate bases, farms, or specific hotspots where there could be some exciting resources to mine. And I believe that there should be different kinds of planets available when it comes to reasons to visit. For example, I think that in each sector, not necessarily a star system, but more of a cluster of systems, there should be one central candidate for a good location of a local base that the players will build, which would be where you would gather your resources and craft your own equipment or your own ships. And from there should be planets or moons where specific ore could be collected or materials acquired from specific locations or wildlife located in the area. And then there should also be the dangerous locations where rare materials or items could be found and where some of the most dangerous foes could be located, from whom you could steal things or get the best rewards. And then you would be asking, but Irad, this is a pattern that could be repeated over several sectors over the explorable universe. And I would say no, because this is where unique assets or unique resources or unique environments come in and would encourage players to visit these areas where they would get the unique item that they would need for a specific quest that they would have taken or to craft an item that they would want to make. But I've spoken a lot about possible gameplay and how the planets would possibly be made, but let's have a look at some of the gameplay environments that we had the chance to discover already. And we will start with the first planet, or moon I should say, that we encounter in the trailer, and that is the moon of Crete, which seems to be a rather large moon, large enough to have an atmosphere, breathable for some species, which includes 1% of oxygen and a fairly mild temperature of 7 degrees centigrade, which means that if the pressure is heavy enough, liquid water should be able to flow. The moon itself has a gravity of 0.55 g, confirming its size, making it probably a moon of a local gas giant, of which we only know the name, and it is called Encelad. Its terrain is rather rocky, with some barnacles and fume exhausts and perhaps some kinds of volcanic activity there, which would make sense again if it is orbiting a gas giant. The next planet that we discover is Jemison. Jemison is located at the heart of this Alpha Centauri system. Now, I do have some concerns with what we can see here, because anyone who knows a thing or two about astronomy know that Alpha Centauri is a triple system with two suns that would themselves fit within our very own solar system. At their closest, the two stars, by the way, have a distance equivalent to the distance between the Sun and Saturn, so it surely must be a very impressive sight to behold for anyone standing on a planet orbiting one of those stars. Yet, in the video that we saw, these planets, at least these suns, were nowhere to be seen, which leaves me a little bit worried here. I just hope that we'll get to see sites represented by this concept image instead, which does feature the system's 3 suns. I mean, how mesmerizing would that be, right? As far as Jemison is concerned, we do have some information about the planet itself, which is an Earth-like world, a little smaller, with a gravity of only 0.91 Gs. Fauna and flora are said to be abundant, and I believe that it is going to be one of these starter worlds, because when we look at the overview of the system itself, it says level 1, which makes me think that they are going to be starter star systems with easier challenges and mild wildlife, while others might be more challenging as you level up in the game and get access to them. Next, we have a glimpse at Gagarin, which is another planet of the Alpha Centauri system, and not much is known about the planet apart from that it is a little less massive than Jemison, with a gravity of 0.89 G. It does have apparently some fauna and flora, meaning that it should be breathable, but from the looks of it here, it looks like these are moderate levels of flora and fauna, as opposed to abundant for Jemison. So it appears here that the conditions may be a little bit rougher and not quite as nice as on Jemison's, which will be quite a contrast compared to its sister planet. We also have planet Olivas, which is a gas giant similar to Saturn, but in the Alpha Centauri system, and it looks like it harbors a couple of moons, one of them being Cholwa, which is a small, frozen and barren ice ball that we should expect to encounter plenty of in the game. Next, it looks like we'll jump to another star system, and this is Alpha Andraste 2. Not much is known about this planet, except that it seems to feature at least one semi-arid biome with some rather aggressive level 12 species. Lantana 3 looks a little more lush and definitely features a thick atmosphere, making it easier for life forms to just thrive in the air by simply floating in it, which leads us to interactions we are seeing here with those level 15 Metropus floaters. Moloch 1 looks to be a rougher place. The sky is orange and it looks like the surface is rather barren, yet that did not prevent the angler exopods from evolving into this aggressive creature that is attacking us here on the footage. And that's all we've got about these worlds, though. We are going to be finishing with Vectera, which is a moon located in the Narian system. And this moon looks like another frozen world with a small, tiny atmosphere that is frozen as well, featuring a temperature of minus 199 degrees Celsius. And just like Crete, it is probably a moon of a gas giant and features a gravity of 0.91 g, which should make it a pretty comfortable place to walk on, which would explain why in the trailer the player decided to build a base there. And personally, I would not imagine settling on a planetary body with a low gravity. I've experienced low gravity in other games like Star Citizen, for example, and over a certain period of time it just makes me feel dizzy. Anyway, that is all we can say about the planets that were shown to us during the presentation. There were obviously more worlds that we had a glimpse at, but their names have not been revealed, nor any of their features, so I suppose that we'll have to talk about those in another video. As always, if you think that I deserve it, don't forget to leave this video a like, and don't forget to subscribe for more gaming content. I'm really enjoying what I'm seeing here, by the way, with Starfield, and I do plan to make videos like this one. So, I wish you all a wonderful day, guys. It's been the Eradicator, and I will see you guys later.